Security sources have revealed that 19 suspected terrorists, including 5 with links to ISIS, have arrived in Britain via small boat crossings. The men reached the UK illegally from northern France last year and are now believed to be living in migrant hotels funded by, yes, you guessed it, the taxpayer. It's understood that most of them have lodged in asylum claims, meaning they're protected from deportation by human rights law. Some of the suspects are thought to be under current surveillance from MI5, while 7 were already under active investigation from other countries when they arrived in Britain. It comes as more than 1,000 migrants have crossed the Channel on small boats this week, setting a new record, despite the government proposing tougher asylum laws. And look, here we go. It's kind of another day, another asylum story. They'll keep wheeling them out. I guess there are perhaps a couple of things from this. First of all, 1,000 have arrived in the last week. I think by reckoning, that boat that they commissioned to stick on the south coast can hold 500. So there's going to be an awful lot of boats popping around if they're going to deal with it. And it's clearly not working in terms of the deterrent. But also, guess what? Some people who come across the shores are going to be wronged.
Horrible.
So what you want is you want a system that's processing people, making sure that we find out who they are as soon as we can, and making sure that if they should be deported, they should be. And this is the problem, is that the government's so intent on putting sticking plasters on the end result, as opposed to saying, what's the cause? How are we tackling this, or what should we do to tackle it?
And surely,
how do we deal with it?
And surely, if they are suspected terrorists, they should be locked up while we have a look at them. I mean, I still don't understand why we can't just say, OK, you've come in here, you're being... what was it, 7 already under active investigation when they arrived here? Already under active investigation.
I mean...
So why do you not...
How would you end up staying in a... Yeah, I mean, it's probably a human rights thing. You know, and ordinarily, I think we all understand why that's there, obviously. But this surely goes beyond that. You know,
exactly.
Obviously, amidst 40-odd thousand people that came last year, a percentage will be criminals. But you also have to not unreasonably suggest that those that are criminals would have an added reason to maybe want to get to a place like this, bearing in mind the sort of history and terrorist links and the desire to do damage, Western governments, Blair, Iraq, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So we are, in that respect, I suppose, a bit more of a target than maybe France or Germany might be. But surely the moment that the intelligence says, oh, yeah, this is Bob McDougall, he was a member of Al-Qaeda, you go... No, mate, no, oi, come here. You're not going in the hotel. You're going to jail, mate.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Don't ask me.
JJ, how does it happen?
I can't answer. I don't know. But they should definitely scrap the human rights. If you're a terrorist, lock them up and thanks. Yeah, you agree with me.
Cheers, Sandy.
Lock them up or deport them. But don't put them in a hotel and be like, we're watching him.
But it is bound to be what James was saying at the beginning. If the backlog wasn't so big, you could get through these people, and anybody that's flagged as a risk or a risk, you know, then you could go through their process and send them home. But I bet you it's because of the human rights that they can't somehow be leapfrogged to the front of the queue because they're much more important.
Even by the kind of the balmy standards of some lawyers, would anyone really put their head above the parapet and take on that case and go, well, you know, yes, it's absolutely right, we represent Al-Qaeda Bob and his strange proclivities.
Well, somebody...
No, but this is why you have the cab rank process of getting lawyers. So if somebody asks for a lawyer, then you know, that lawyer has to take on the case regardless. But then, again, this is the point, isn't it? Which is we've got a system that seems not to be working effectively. It's really clear to all of us that it's not working, and it's not disincentivising. And the government's saying, oh, yes, you know, this will be a disincentive if we send you here and send you there.
It won't.
No, it's not.
And also, we said this last week, didn't we? How come Germany manages to actually process people in a month? We spend 18 months
because they're German and really efficient.
Super efficient.
Yeah, they do that stuff really well.
No, but it is about all these things.
They have twice as many as we do.
Yes, and it is about... And you look at all commentators are saying the same thing, which is that we have been falling behind and falling behind and falling behind, and eventually it comes to the point where even the sticking plaster isn't actually holding anything together.
There must be a point, though, when... Or there must have been a point when, whether it was Rishi Sunak or Boris or Liz, I can't remember how many Prime Ministers we've had, but there's been a few lately, somebody would have had that info in a red box saying, you know, oh, by the way, you know, Prime Minister, of the people that were caught, we know that So even the Prime Minister can't raise his head above the parapet and say, hang on a second, no, sorry, MI5, 4, 6, 2, 1, whoever, whichever one you like, sort this out, because we can't have...
Do we need to have a situation now, and God forbid this happens, but some kind of attack or a terrorist threat at the coronation, then maybe people will jump up and actually start taking some action. Because it's one thing saying we have to stop the small boats, but it's a whole other thing saying we're not only going to let terrorists come in, we're going to identify them and say they're terrorists, know which hotels they're in and we're paying for them, and we're not going to do anything to deport them.
But also, of course, there is a danger with stories like this, and we all know what it is, where irresponsible groups, and we've seen some of them, they were demonstrating just 6 weeks or so ago in various northern cities, will basically be, walking around saying asylum seekers are terrorists. All asylum seekers are potential terrorists. And, of course, there's a truth in that, potentially, but that leads to so much social division, political upheaval, toxic debate. And that's really scary, as well as the frightening element of there being terrorists applying to come over.